Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is part 2 of common mistakes that home buyers make when they're buying a new home. If you haven't seen part 1, make sure you go over to my channel, check out part 1. So this is going to be 8 through 14 for a total of 14 reasons or 14 mistakes people commonly make when buying a new home. If you don't already know, guys, my name's Tom Radacci. I live here in Las Vegas. I love the city. I help people move here, and I talk about what it's really like to live in Las Vegas in this channel. So if that's of interest to you, please go down below, subscribe, like, and hit that notification bell. And if you have any questions, comments, concerns, if you're moving here, I am a licensed realtor, so reach out to me and I can definitely help you. With that, guys, let's jump right in. So the number 8 or number 1 reason, however you want to put it, number 1 mistake that we're going to talk about in this video are forgetting contingencies. So here in Las Vegas, your contract as a buyer is going to have a lot of contingencies. It's going to have a due diligence contingency. It's going to have a loan contingency. It's going to have an appraisal contingency and a bunch of other stuff that's in there to protect you as the buyer. A contract, at least here in Las Vegas, is about 90% protecting the buyer, maybe 95% protecting the buyer. And there's a little bit of stuff in there that protects the seller. So you need to pay attention to all those contingencies because there might also be some that were added in addition to what is normally written into the contract. Maybe the seller had to leave a particular piece of furniture behind, otherwise the contract would be void. Or maybe they had to leave a refrigerator or something else. Maybe they had to pay for something for you as the buyer. All of these contingencies are really important. The contract is literally broken. It can be broken if someone doesn't live up to their part of the contract or one of the contingencies. So make sure you pay attention to all these contingencies. I think probably the number 1 contingency that you need to pay attention to, you need to stay on top of, and if you have a realtor, hopefully they're staying on top of this, is your due diligence contingency. That is what allows you to basically get out of the deal scot-free, get all your earnest money back for any reason or no reason at all. You could just say, I want out because I want out, give me my money, and you're gone. I mean, it's that easy. So due diligence is usually anywhere from 3 to 10 days. It just totally depends on that particular contract, the particular sale that's going on, and some market conditions, but basically about 10 days, I would say. That's what mine usually are when I write contracts. So pay attention to that. Don't let the time run out. Make sure you do all your examinations of the home. Get all your professional examiners out there before that contingency ends in case you need to get out of the deal because you find something that's wrong. Continuing in that vein, guys, is number 9, and that is, again, going to be about due diligence, but this is going to be more about the emotional part of the sale. If you come into that home you're buying and you think it's the perfect home and there couldn't possibly be anything wrong with it because maybe you already spoke to the seller or you spoke to their agent, or maybe your agent told you, hey, there's nothing wrong with this home. It looks amazing. It's beautiful. Everything's perfect. There's nothing wrong with it. Everything's fine. There's nothing broken. Don't worry about getting a home inspection or this inspection or that inspection. Don't worry about it. It'll be fine. Well, first off, guys, let me tell you, if that agent is not a licensed home inspector or some other kind of licensed professional, then they could actually be committing a crime by telling you that, because they don't have the license or the certification to actually tell you that everything in the home is fine. So if your agent is telling you that, that's a big red flag. But more importantly, guys, don't get emotional, all right? There's nothing wrong with ordering a home inspection. You're not insulting the seller. You're not insulting your realtor and what they have to say. All you're doing is making sure that you don't get stuck in a bad deal. Real estate is one of the best ways to generate wealth for you, for your family, for generations to come. But if you buy homes, if you buy crappy homes that have serious issues, foundational issues, air conditioning issues, the list goes on and on and on, you could get stuck with a $500,000 home that needs $50,000 in repairs. And if you would have just done your inspections, your home inspector might have found those $50,000, that repair that needed done before you purchased the home, and then you could have negotiated for it, or you could have just gotten out of the deal entirely. So don't get emotional with the due diligence period or any other contingency. Use that contingency to your full advantage. It's there to protect you, and it's there for a reason. Number 10, guys, second guessing the decision. Now, this one is absolutely near and dear to my heart. I have had clients, it's so frustrating for the realtor, and it's even more frustrating for the client, I'm sure, and when they second guess all of their decisions. Personally, what happened to me, I had a client, we got under contract for a home, and then she decided, hey, There's kind of some issues with the AC system. I think I might want to back out of the deal. We ended up negotiating with the seller, actually got the price of the home dropped, but my buyer, my client, still didn't think it was enough. And if the seller didn't drop the price more, then they were going to walk. Well, they ended up walking, and that home ended up selling to somebody else, and it was off the market. And then my buyer, my client, had a lot of regret about that. And then we got under contract for a second house. Turns out it again had problems when it was inspected, but instead of sticking with it and continuing because she liked the home, she ended up backing out again and then regretted the decision a second time. Guys, don't let that be you. Commit to buying that house if you think it's the right house for you. Right now in Las Vegas, it is a seller's market. I promise you. If you find a home you really love, it probably won't be there in 2 weeks. That's just the way homes are selling right now. In all likelihood, that is very much the truth. So if you find a home you like, it doesn't have any major problems, or it doesn't have any problems that you can't fix, can't negotiate for, or can't just outright accept, I would recommend sticking with that home. When the home is right, it's right, even if it has problems. So talk to your realtor, talk to your contractors, talk to the people that are doing your inspections. Figure out what the problem is, get a game plan together. But the worst thing you can do is immediately assume that you made a bad decision and try to get out of the deal. Because once you're out of the deal, it's gone, and I guarantee you it is going to sell to someone else very quickly, and it's not going to be up for sale again, next week, and so you to come back and purchase it. That's just not going to happen. So don't second guess your decisions. Talk to your realtor, talk to your contractors and the professionals, and then make a game plan and go from there. This next one, guys, is number 11, and this is one of my personal favorites. And it's blaming everyone else in the transaction when something goes wrong. So as a client of a realtor or a client of anybody, you are the one in the driver's seat. You're the one that hired me, or you're the one that hired some other realtor or some other inspector, whatever the case may be. You're the one that made that decision. You're the one that has to, hear their advice and decide what to do. So when something goes wrong, unless it is, blatantly that professional's fault. For instance, if your realtor completely forgot to send in some paperwork that needed to be in by X date and time, you signed it, you sent it to them, and then they didn't do their job. Okay, I can see how that is their fault. But also, guys, you are the one that hired them. Did you do enough research into that realtor? Did you do enough research into that home inspector or into that contractor? This is something you really need to consider, and this is why it's really important that you dive deep into Google and Facebook and social media and Yelp and all those other places where professionals put their work and document reviews and all that sort of stuff. You want to make sure you know who you're hiring, because at the end of the day, you are the one that hired them. You. So when something goes wrong, it is really your fault. You hired them. So you want to be careful, guys. You don't want any problems. You don't want anything coming back on you. And like I said before, buying a home, buying real estate in general is an excellent way to generate wealth, especially generational wealth. But if you buy the wrong houses or you hire the wrong people, even to buy the right house, it can leave you with a lot of regret and possibly a lot of debt. So make sure you stay on top of that. Assume it's all on you, and then from there, pick the absolute best professionals you can afford. All right, guys, next one on the list, number 12, is going to be job hopping. Now, this is another one that is near and dear to my heart because I actually have clients right now that this happened to. Now, caveat, this happened to them unexpectedly. They didn't know up front that this was going to cause a problem, but one's in the military, one is not. She's a local professional here in the Valley, and she went from full-time to part-time and also has a second job besides the part-time job, and he is in the military, and he's going to be getting out here shortly in January. Well, because of this, it's causing some problems with the lenders. Even though they have the income, even though they have the income history, even though they got money in the bank, the lenders are worried about this potential job hopping, as they call it. Now, they didn't do this on purpose. They had some pre-approval stuff that just, it didn't work out for them, and it's really unfortunate. And we're in the process of finding them a home and a lender they can work with. However, I have seen clients do this intentionally, right? They're in the market for a home. They got pre-approved. Maybe they're under contract for a home. And then during that 30, 60, 45 day period, however long that closing process is, they get a new job. Even if it's a promotion, guys, even if it's a promotion, it can hurt you, okay? Don't go accepting promotions during this without talking to your lender. Don't go quitting your job and starting your own business without talking to your lender. Don't switch jobs without talking to your lender. It is super important, guys. Right before they fund that loan, at the end of the process, they're going to do a soft credit check, and they are going to tell if you switch jobs, if you quit your job, if you got fired, if you got laid off. These things come up on your credit. They are going to see it, and then you might lose the home, guys. So that job offer is probably going to be there in a month. Talk to your boss, talk to your lender. Hell, let them talk to each other. Just don't accept that job. Don't quit your job. Don't start your own business. Don't do any of that. Just stay where you are. Keep it constant. Keep your lender informed about everything that's going on, and then you won't lose the house, especially in the seller's market like this, guys. If you switch jobs and then you lose out on that house because the mortgage lender won't fund the loan, that house is probably going to be gone in 2 weeks, which is not enough time to get these issues straightened out. So you need to be really careful about this. Do not job hop. Number 13, guys, this is going to be opening some kind of new line of credit, or maybe buying a car or buying furniture or anything you're buying on a line of credit, any new line of credits that you're opening, credit cards, anything like that. This is really bad. Again, it shows up on your credit history, shows up on your credit report, and a lot of these numbers, like the amount of credit you have, your debt to income ratio, all of this stuff was factored into whether or not you were going to get funded for this mortgage loan previously. So if you start changing stuff around, start getting new lines of credit, start owing more money to more people for cars or whatever the case may be, when they do that soft credit check right before they fund the loan, they're going to see that, and you're going to have a new debt to income ratio. You're going to have all sorts of new bills, and that can very easily kill the deal and lose you the house, lose you your earnest money. I mean, there's a lot of things that can go wrong, guys. So don't go out buying a new car. Save that until you have the keys to the house in your hand. Don't go buying furniture. Don't go buying appliances. Don't buy anything, guys, because if you do that, you might end up, getting stuck with without a house and a bunch of furniture and a new fridge and nowhere to put it. So don't go opening any new lines of credit while you're under contract or while you're thinking about buying a new house. And last but not least, guys, that 14, number 14, or probably one of the biggest mistakes, I should say, people make when they're buying a new home here in Las Vegas is overpaying for the home. This is really important. Again, right now we are in the seller's market here in Las Vegas. That means that there are very few homes versus a ton of buyers that want those houses. So there's a lot of competition, which for very few homes, which means that there are likely a lot of bidding wars going on. Now, right now it's November 7th, something like that. So there are a lot less bidding wars going on now than there were 6 months or a year ago even, but it still does happen. And those bidding wars, say you want to buy a $500,000 house, but then people start bidding and bidding and bidding and bidding. And now you're up to 525, 550, 575. I've seen it happen, guys, and it can definitely happen. When they do the appraisal on that home, the $500,000 house might appraise for $500,000, but you offered $550. And if your offer is accepted, you're going to be responsible to pay that $50,000 extra. There's no reason that the seller has to negotiate and say, oh, well, it appraised for $500, but you offered $550, so I'll sell it to you for $500. No, the seller has no obligation to do that. So the only recourse would be to try to negotiate, or if you can't pay it or you don't want to pay it, then you're going to have to get out of the deal. Because otherwise, if you were to stay in the deal, you walk into that house, you'd have some amount of mortgage loan for the $500,000 portion of the house, but then you'd already be possibly negative equity, possibly underwater. There's all sorts of possibilities, guys. You don't want to go start paying for a house and start paying over price, because it's just a bad idea, guys. That money is going to do a lot more good probably in your pocket than it's going to do just overpaying for a house and going directly into the seller's pocket, because that's all you're doing. So take your time, find a home, put in some offers. Don't get discouraged if offers start getting denied, you start getting beaten out. There's always another house. You will find another house that you like and that you want to live in, and that you won't have to pay $10, $20, $30, $40, $50,000 out of pocket for. It's crazy. And at some point, guys, that real estate market, this absolute rise in the prices, eventually that's going to level out and it's going to start going the other way down. And if that happens, if your house, if you buy a $500,000 house and you buy it for $550, and in a year from now it is in fact worth $550, or maybe it's worth $600,000, whatever the case may be, you have $550,000 in that home. So that price starts dipping down. The more you paid for it, the more you have to lose. So try to get the best price, preferably at appraised value or less than appraised value. That way you walk into the house and you already have some equity, which again does happen, but it's kind of rare, so those deals are a little bit harder to come by. But don't start overpaying for homes, because that money is going to do more good in your pocket than it is in the seller's pocket. If you have any more questions, comments, concerns, guys, you can reach out to me with the contact information below, or head over to my channel where I have a bunch of other videos that answer a ton of other questions and give you a ton of more information on Las Vegas. As always, guys, if you need anything at all, I am a licensed realtor in Las Vegas, in Nevada, so you can reach out to me. I'd be happy to help you find your dream home, or I'd be happy to refer you to someone else if you're looking for somebody specific to do something else for you. Thanks so much for watching, guys. I really appreciate it. Please stay tuned for more content, and have a great day.